content of this video is based on the CoLab assessment guidelines prepared by Dr. Luis Valente. You can find the CoLab guidelines in the resource section of this module. Assessment has multiple goals, but in this video we will specifically look at its impact on strengthening the improvement of learning collaboratively. In addition to helping students position themselves in the learning process and become aware of the extent of their efforts to achieve objectives, assessment also needs to make learners take responsibility for their own learning by helping to regulate their efforts, identify their strengths and weaknesses, and enable them to seek help in order to overcome difficulties. It is crucial that assessment doesn't discourage learners, but rather strengthens their commitment to learning. Assessment should encourage students to learn collaboratively and not encourage competition. It should also contribute to a collective conscience, promoting the belief that we learn better in groups because we overcome our difficulties more easily when we help one another. Everyone who teaches knows well that in the process of teaching something to somebody else, you come to understand better the subject of what you're teaching yourself. Assessment should encourage students to benefit from this process. The effectiveness of the message given to students is also key to keep in mind when designing and implementing assessment. Feedback regarding assessment must be brief, clear, and timely. Self-assessment and peer assessment can be fast and objective when assessing collaborative learning if it is implemented in parallel with learning activities, it uses the same language used by group participants, it is conducted diplomatically so as not to create obstacles in the social relationship of the group. Ultimately, assessment has to be useful for learning. It must make sense for those being assessed and not only for those assessing. The benefits of assessment relate directly to how effective the assessment is. The assessment's internal and external credibility, legitimacy and reliability recognised by stakeholders has a significant impact on its value and potential. Let's consider three types of assessment, each with a different purpose: formative assessment, self-assessment, and summative assessment. Formative assessment can help to improve teaching strategies and student study because it provides very contextualised feedback both to students individually and to groups, as well as to their teachers. Simple assessment tools can be used for formative assessment, as long as the goals are clearly defined. It is necessary that those involved realise the importance of the selected assessment tools and acknowledge their value. Feedback must be immediate to have direct effect on the learning process, so it's important to use assessment tools which are easy to build, easy to use, and provide easy data analysis. Self-assessment should focus on individuals and their commitment, motivation, engagement in teamwork, and their ability to achieve personal goals. Group goals can be formulated using checklists or progress level scales applied over a predefined timeline systematically or at particular milestones while carrying out projects or tasks. Finally, summative assessment aims to provide a formal academic record of students' learning progress and to establish proficiency levels. Often, summative assessment is confined to tests only, which is not necessarily fair. If students are requested and expected to engage in group work, develop projects and present results, build blogs or other digital products, then summative assessment should consider these types of artefacts as learning outcomes to be assessed. For summative assessment to consider these learning outcomes, we need to assign a weight to each of them in the final summative assessment, so as to take account of students' work as a whole. It may be that you are working in a school which does not integrate these types of learning outcomes into the final assessment. This may indicate a need for change through negotiation with relevant stakeholders and crucially ensuring that students are involved in defining the assessment model.